Hello, my name is Mitch. I draw Blood Force, and this is part 2 in my series of videos wherein I examine 90s comics and take a look at sort of the era they came out in and maybe see how well they accomplished what they attempted to. So today we're taking a look at Savage Dragon #1. Came out July 1992, and obviously one of the first ones that came out for Mitch. This one I feel wasn't quite as touted as some of the ones that came out around that time. Obviously Youngblood was the big one, and then I would say Spawn and Wildcats. And that would make some sense because those were the big artists. Those were the ones that drove titles. You know, you got Jim Lee on Wildcats, who had built up a huge audience with X-Men and Uncanny X-Men, and Liefeld, X-Force, McFarlane, Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man. And Larson wasn't quite one of those guys. He never had his own book before this. He's kind of been documented as the guy who followed Todd by following up his run on Amazing Spider-Man first, wherein Todd made Spider-Man one of the most popular characters at Marvel again. And then, once he was done on that run, jumping over to Adjectiveless Spider-Man, when Todd left to, I guess, get things going on Spawn. So this is not quite the print run of those books either. All those 3 books sold 1 million plus. I think the biggest one I saw was, if I recall correctly, it was a tie between Wildcats #1 and Spawn #1 with about 1.7 million. And this one sells exactly half of that, 850,000. But in the 1990s, like today, that would be just earth-shattering. This would be the biggest comic ever. In 1992, that was a strong opening for a character, for first appearance kind of thing. So let's take a look. The first thing we notice, of course, is the cover. And that's not a bad cover at all. You know, good logo. Even the logo is kind of dynamic. And lots of primary colors. And good flexy action shot that Erik Larsen spent some time on. It doesn't say anything about the book, but I mean, your #1 doesn't necessarily need to. It's more, this is the star, right? And yeah, that's kind of there we go, intense action from Erik Larsen. That's a weird thing to put just, you'd think that would be like in a little star caption off to the side, but that's like a subheading. It's interesting. Yeah, I remember the days here where the first couple of was it even the first couple of books? I know that Spawn had almost exactly the same look. So he's following Todd again. Come on, man. Come up with your own thing. But this is written, penciled, and inked by Erik Larsen, because this is his baby. This is the character he's been working on since he was like 6 or 7, I don't know, something like that. And yeah, the stories are adorable. Where he just kept writing Savage Dragon. Well, I think he was just Dragon stories, and over the years, and just kept adding to the lore. Didn't start over again from like issue 1. You know, do a relaunch when he was 9 or anything. You know, he just kept going, adding more stuff. So he kind of had a long history to draw on, where just, okay, this is the part where we get to this. And I guess that's kind of served him, because his comics in like the 200s these days. So we're going to start off with a pretty good page 1. Chicago, Illinois, now, speed lines, action. Savage Dragon coming at you, or at least coming at this guy. And follow it immediately with a 2-page spread with just muscles and veins and blood and a big old punch and some classic Chris Eliopoulos lettering that is almost unreadable. It's so just rectangular. But this is kind of ideal. This is Image Comics in 3 pages, man. Then we get a pretty brutal fight, more blood, punching women in the face, and just headbutt, punch you harder. And it's just, yeah, this is what you'd expect, really. I guess more so from Erik Larsen than the other guys, because this is what he was doing in Spider-Man. When he did get a chance to write something, he'd do crazy action stuff. I don't think Todd so much. Todd liked doing cartoony faces. Rob liked doing cool poses. Mark Silvestri just kind of drew everything. Jim Lee too, only he did it in a more what's the word? Just sellable manner. You just always make sure that every page can be sold for, 5 G's or better. Although so far that's the case with Savage Dragon too. And we're still going. And we get some great, in quotations, Erik Larsen dialogue. Yeah. 'Cause I say so. Sure. It's childish, but I mean, that's not even a bad thing. That's the audience he's appealing to. He's appealing to, in 1992, I was, 13? He was appealing to me. Maybe a little bit younger than me. But, that's what drove print runs of 850,000 copies back in the day. So, what have we established so far? In terms of story, nothing. We have established that you're going to get a shit ton of action. And it's going to be very dynamically drawn. And it's going to be bloodier than you're used to. But, just hide it from your parents. You'll be fine. We have also established that he's a police officer and not just a vigilante. And then we do our big cut to... my first instinct is to say his Tarantino-esque scene with the timeline jumping. But this is pre-Tarantino, so it wasn't even that. I do recall in the trade paperback, this was the first page, and I think he explained it a bit in the foreword or something. You got the impression that people were confused with this transition. But here, Savage Dragon's punching guys, and here he's unconscious. And it says before, but it is off to the side a bit, I guess, and it's a little difficult to read. I didn't have much trouble following this when I was 13. And honestly, I think he made the right choice. This is a striking first image, sure. And then you follow up with establishing 2 pages of establishing that Dragon doesn't know who he is. Following up with, setting the stage. This is the city he's in. And there's super criminals. And the old guard can't keep up. And Savage Dragon probably could keep up. But he doesn't want to. Because, he's an amnesiac with a giant green fin on his head. He doesn't even want to go outside. So, you could start off that way, but it's very slow build. That's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. Before you would get any action. I think you made the right choice. Just go in medias res. Get your punching out of the way. There'll be more punching. There'll be more punching in this issue. Get a nice little cool down period where Eric sets the scene. And then let's get back to punching. And we're going to introduce some villains that I'm quite sure they recurred. That was a pretty quick sequence. I guess it's just to set up that Dragon is super badass. And if he wanted to clean up this town, he could do it. He's just being selfish. And we get a little poster in here. This is kind of in the vein of the trading cards in Youngblood #1, I feel like. It's not really necessary, and there's better shots of Dragon in this issue, I would say. But as just an extra, where, you know, if you're 10 and you don't know any better, you could take this out of your comic and tape it up on your wall. Why not? And then Badoom. I feel like that should have had at least 7 more O's. And we previously established that Dragon can't be hurt by fire. And then more stuff, talking about how bad the city is. Now, we've seen how bad the city is. You know, supervillains are shaking down warehouse managers. That's rough. But the big explosion where Frank's cousin, it is his cousin, got killed, that's what finally pushes Dragon over the edge. And he's going to go become a police officer extremely quickly. We don't exactly need to see Dragon training. I wouldn't be surprised if that had showed up somewhere, like in Savage Dragon #0 or something like that, or I think he did a 1/2 too. He did, I think, because I remember him putting out a thing where the cover is him like pulling himself along by his arms, and you can't see his legs, and the joke is it's half a Savage Dragon. You know, that's alright. And then we're back to now. And we're in a police force that is well aware that they've got Dragon on the team. And Dragon's going to do badass things. It's quite the splash page. And I mean, you want intensity, here you go. Just shooty, shooty, shooty. Man, big transition in the colors too, eh? All cool colors. Dragon's in control. Still cool, I mean, you know, very muted. You know, obviously things are gonna go crazy. But we haven't actually kicked it into gear yet. And here we go. Here's your reds and your oranges and your yellows. Here's Savage Dragon getting shot in the face. And we're going to introduce a character that will recur later. We also introduce the big bad guy who will keep coming back and be Savage Dragon's nemesis for a while. And that's it for the story. Quite a bit of story. I mean, I just did the Youngblood thing a couple of days ago. There was a lot happened in that, though. And this is just giving you the history of what Dragon means to Eric Larson, and I don't think this is unnecessary. That's kind of important, that you know just how important Dragon is to as a character to Eric Larson. We know now, you know, that he'll just keep going with it forever because he loves his character so much. And I mean, I think his print runs are down around like 3,000 or something these days. I assume that the online sales are quite a bit more, but that's a bit I remember seeing that and being a bit surprised. Um, but it does have its fan base of some kind, and he's just going to keep going with it because that's what he loves to do and he can. You got to respect that a bit. Yeah. And I like these old ads too. I wonder if anybody ever ordered from these. I feel like if you bothered to send away for comics in the mail, you probably would have bothered to find out whether or not there's comic shops in your neighborhood. And this is back in the days, of course, when Image Comics was being published by Malibu. I don't believe I ever read an issue of Protectors. I'll tell you what I read a couple times. Oh, there's another one of those orders. It was Savage Dragon #1 when I was a kid. Probably more than the other Image Comics that were coming out at the time. Thinking about it. Because, I mean, you think, I don't know. Spawn looked great, but in those first few issues, there wasn't a lot that happened. Particularly not Spawn #1. I took a quick flip through it earlier. And, yeah, there's not a whole lot. I think there's a lot of vague intimations where, you know, oh, Todd's going to set some stuff up. You look out, and then he beats up a hobo. And that's kind of all you get in that one. Wildcats #1, Jim Lee wanted to do, from what I understand, this big sprawling story. He wanted to set up a big deal where aliens were invading Earth and infiltrating the government and pulling strings behind the scenes. But there was this underground movement powered by another alien species and stuff. And, you know, he had an idea of something big he wanted to do. I just don't think he had the right writer for it. I don't know. I don't recall Brandon Joy doing a whole lot after Wildcats. And he didn't do Wildcats for very long. And Rob, of course, you know, I don't even know if anything happened in Youngblood. I'm sure punching happened occasionally. But I mean very occasionally, because that book came out very sporadically. But no, I mean this one, I'd read the shit out of this when I was a kid. And I probably would have kept going with it, except of course it stopped after issue 3. And you had to restart it again. And reignite everybody's interest by getting the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to guest star. I had a couple of those issues. I feel like at that point his art was already starting to go a little downhill though, because he was trying to speed up to stay on schedule. And these days it's man. Yeah, he's whipping them out. Yeah, the phrasing's a little intentional. And kind of quality be damned. But he really put a lot into this one. And this is, yeah, I think I might have said exactly what you want from this kind of comic at this time. Cracked walk, you know? Yeah, I mean, yeah. I would say in terms of execution, this might be the most successful Image comic from that first batch. Anyway, I'm trying to think of where I was going to go. I'm sure I had something else to say about that. No, it's just, yeah, well done. I'm not a huge Erik Larsen fan myself these days. I never really was a big one, you know. Like I said, he didn't have his own book. His style was fun, but, you know, it didn't quite stick. It wasn't as detailed as the other guys. It was very dynamic. I don't know if, as far as I know, I don't think he went to art school, but he's got a good sense of, oh shit, I forgot the word again. That's never a good sign. Setting a page up. Shoot. Okay, I'm going to pause this and come back. Composition! Christ's sake. Oh, God. That literally took like 2 seconds. Okay, but yeah, no, he's got a good sense of composition. He sets up pages nicely. I always felt like this looked a bit like Patrick Stewart for some reason. Maybe it's just how Eric Larson draws, guys. I don't know. Nothing's really unclear. You know. Get your nice break in the panels here. Make it extra dynamic. Yeah. I mean, we kind of get that this is meant to have a big impact. Nothing stands out as being like he didn't know what he was doing. I think he was in the game about as long as Liefeld was. Even McFarlane does weird things where you're like, did you know you were doing that? Now, in terms of composition, he's always like he goes for some simplistic shots. This is kind of an easy shot. It is super cool though, and I feel like he was thinking about that shot for a little while. All this stuff reads. I don't think, yeah, he doesn't even cross the line where scumbags are looking the wrong way. Dragon looks the other way at this point, but you get the feeling he's turning to shoot the other way. And then the scumbag's on the other side. It does make sense. I mean, you don't even really need dialogue for this. And that's Image Comics in a nutshell. But I think it does it really successfully. Which means it's all downhill from here. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot else to say about it. It's a shining example. And so one I'll probably read a bit more just to influence my stuff. This is kind of what I should be aiming for, I think. At least in some instances where I'm not, indulging myself by having 3 pages of dialogue. I gotta kind of keep that in check. But yeah, so I'll end this here. Oh God, I gotta do the thing. Please feel free to like this video if you liked it. That sounds so stupid. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications if you want to watch more of these. I do that with the stuff. You could do that. I'd love you so much if you did that. Drop comments. Follow me on Twitter at, oh crap, what's the name of that thing? Team Blood Force. Or email. You're not going to email. I'm not giving you my email. I'll put the email up on the thing, but I'm not going to say it out loud. And I'll see you next time.